The power of Stoicism in modern chaos. Let's be honest, life today is loud, notifications constantly buzzing, endless demands, opinions flying from every direction. It's no wonder so many of us feel overwhelmed, reactive, even emotionally drained before noon. But here's the good news. You don't have to live at the mercy of the noise. What if I told you that the ancient wisdom of a Roman emperor, a former slave, and a philosopher who lived over 2,000 years ago could help you reclaim your calm, even in the middle of modern chaos? That's what Stoicism is really about. Not dry theories or cold detachment, not pretending nothing bothers you, but something far deeper and far more powerful. A practical framework to help you stay grounded when life gets stormy. Because let's face it, we can't always control the world outside us, but we can learn to master the world within. And that's what this video and this series is all about. You're not here by accident. Maybe something in your life has felt out of balance lately. Maybe you're tired of reacting to everything. Every comment, every delay, every unexpected challenge. Maybe you're ready to take your emotional power back. If so, you're exactly where you need to be. This isn't just a video, it's an invitation to slow down, to reflect, to reconnect with something solid, something unshakable inside of you. Because Stoicism, at its core, is about freedom. Not the kind stamped on passports or posted on billboards, but inner freedom. The freedom to choose your response, the freedom to stay calm when others lose their heads, the freedom to live by your values, not by impulse, anger, or fear. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, practiced Stoicism every night in his journal, not to impress anyone, not to be perfect, but to remind himself that peace comes from within, that life is short, and we waste too much of it reacting to things that don't really matter. And now, more than ever, we need that reminder. Because in this age of burnout and overstimulation, protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's essential. Throughout this series, we'll walk through practical lessons inspired by the Stoics. Simple but powerful tools you can apply in your everyday life. Whether you're stuck in traffic, facing conflict at work, or simply trying to quiet your racing mind before bed, you'll learn how to master your inner responses, how to stop letting others steal your energy, how to set boundaries with clarity and compassion, and ultimately, how to live with greater peace, purpose, and emotional strength. And don't worry, you don't need to be a monk, a philosopher, or a history buff to make this work. All you need is a willingness to look inward and take one step at a time. So if you're ready, take a breath with me. Let the noise drop away for just a moment. And let's begin this journey, not just of learning, but of transformation. This is Stoic Journey Moments, where ancient wisdom becomes your daily power. Let's begin. Control is the path to serenity. Lesson 1. The one path to serenity. Let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time you got frustrated over something completely out of your control? Maybe it was traffic. Maybe someone canceled plans last minute. Or maybe the universe just threw a wrench into your well-crafted routine and you felt powerless. But here's the truth. You weren't powerless. You just gave your power to the wrong thing. The ancient Stoic Epictetus said it best. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not. Simple, but life-changing. Let's break this down into something you can apply starting today. First, know your circle of control, your thoughts, your choices, your reactions. That's your domain. Everything else, the weather, other people's moods, the stock market, your past, that's outside of it. When you learn to focus only on what you can influence, your mental load lightens. You stop wasting energy on things you can't fix and start building a life on what you can. Second, accept what you can't change. This doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're letting go of the illusion that fighting reality will somehow make it better. The serenity prayer captures it perfectly. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That wisdom, that's what makes a Stoic powerful. Third, choose your response. This is where your freedom lives. You don't control the traffic jam, but you do control how you handle it. Instead of cursing the cars, you could put on a podcast and turn it into learning time. Your flight's canceled? You could stress and shout, or breathe, regroup, and figure out your next step with clarity. You lost a job? Painful, yes. But maybe it's a door, a reset, a moment to ask, what's next? Because here's the deeper truth. Your peace isn't stolen. It's surrendered. Every time you react instead of respond, every time you chase control over the uncontrollable. So here's your Stoic reminder. Don't try to control the waves. Learn to surf them. Don't chase a perfect world. Train for a resilient mind. That's the one path to serenity, and it starts right here in the quiet power of your own response. Now let me ask you, what's one thing in your life right now that you're trying to control that you simply don't have to? Pause, reflect, and reclaim your peace. Lesson 2, the circle of control, your personal Zen zone. Let me share a mental habit that changed my life, and it might just change yours too. It starts with a simple image, 2 circles, a small one in the center, and a bigger one around it. That inner circle, that's your power zone, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your choices. The outer circle, that's everything else, other people's opinions, the news cycle, the weather, the economy, the past, the future. Now take a moment to ask yourself, where have I been spending most of my energy lately? Is it inside that inner circle or chasing things in the outer one? See, this is where the Stoics were way ahead of us. Epictetus taught, some things are up to us and some things are not. But modern life blurs that boundary. We wake up stressed about things that haven't even happened. We scroll through outrage. We ruminate over words we can't unsay and outcomes we can't control. And we wonder why we feel exhausted. Here's the truth. Peace begins when you live from your center, when you stop pouring your precious energy into things you can't control and instead invest it into what you can. Let's get practical. If it's going to rain, don't wish it away. Just bring an umbrella. If a coworker is moody, don't take it personally. Focus on your own professionalism. If a plan changes unexpectedly, pause, breathe, and adapt. Because when you shift your focus inward, your stress goes down, your decision-making improves, and most importantly, you feel empowered again. This is your personal Zen zone. It's the space where your peace lives, where your purpose lives, and where your best self is waiting. So the next time life feels chaotic, try this. Draw the 2 circles in your mind. Ask yourself, what's in my control right now? Then, take action from that space. That's not just a Stoic tool. That's a survival skill for modern times. And every time you return to your circle, you return to yourself. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. A friend of mine was a productivity machine, calendar packed, notifications on, everything color-coded and optimized. He truly believed that if he just controlled everything, life would finally feel calm. Then one day he got the call. His dad had a stroke. Just like that, his schedule, his goals, even his morning routine, none of it mattered. And in that moment of helplessness, he discovered something powerful. Real control isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling who you are when outcomes collapse. Stoicism doesn't promise you a perfect day. It teaches you how to show up when everything goes wrong. That's real strength. Lesson 3. Cut the strings that pull your mind. Ever feel like your piece is being pulled in 100 directions at once? Like you start the day with good intentions, calm, centered, clear, and by noon, your head's a mess of opinions, notifications, and invisible expectations. Yeah, that's not an accident. It's because your mind is being pulled by strings you may not even realize are there. Let's name a few. Media noise. That constant stream of headlines, outrage, and opinions that leaves you feeling tense, but oddly addicted. Peer pressure. Not just the kind we faced in high school, but the adult version, keeping up with what others expect, say, or post. Negative self-talk. That inner critic whispering, "You're not doing enough. You're not good enough. You should be more like them." Here's the hard truth. If you don't cut these strings, they will control your emotional state. And the Stoics would call that a form of self-imprisonment. But you can take your mind back. First, awareness. You can't change what you won't notice. Start asking, what's pulling my energy right now? Is it a news story? A friend's subtle judgment? A voice in your head? Then comes boundaries. That might mean saying no to endless scrolling. It might mean silencing your phone during meals, or gently excusing yourself from conversations that drain your spirit. Third, mindfulness. This is where you return to your breath, your body, the now. It's choosing presence over pressure, attention over autopilot, and finally, inner strength. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about choosing what enters your mental space. It's about valuing your peace so much that you're willing to protect it. Here's a simple practice to try this week. Limit your daily news intake to 10 minutes. Unfollow one account that triggers comparison or anxiety. Say no once, even if it feels uncomfortable, because your peace matters more. You see, freedom isn't just about doing what you want. It's about not being ruled by what doesn't deserve your power. So ask yourself, what invisible strings are pulling your mind today? And are you ready to cut them? The Stoics didn't chase freedom in the external world. They built it inside by protecting their attention, their emotions, their thoughts. You can too, one quiet decision at a time. Lesson 4. Peace is in staying the course. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt completely at peace, not because everything was perfect, but because you were clear about your path? In today's world, distraction is the default. We live in the age of what's next, the newest trend, the next dopamine hit, the pressure to keep up with what everyone else is doing. And if we're not careful, we end up chasing everything and committing to nothing. That's where Stoicism offers a quiet, radical clarity. Peace isn't found in the chaos, it's found in consistency. It's not about doing more. It's about staying the course, especially when it's boring, uncomfortable, or slow. Now that sounds simple, but living it? That's a daily discipline. First, know your values. What really matters to you? Not what your boss expects, not what your neighbor is flaunting, but you. If you don't define your values, the world will hand you theirs. And you'll wake up years later wondering why you feel so lost. Second, set clear goals. Stoicism isn't about being passive. It's about intentional action. If your value is health, your goal might be walking 30 minutes every day. If your value is creativity, maybe it's carving out 20 minutes to write, paint, or build, no matter how you feel. Third, stay focused. When distractions come, and they will, your job isn't to eliminate them, but to refocus again and again. You don't need perfect conditions to make progress. You need direction and persistence. That's it. Fourth, embrace the struggle. Yes, embrace it. Not everything will flow, but every resistance is a chance to grow. Think about a marathon runner. Their peace isn't found at mile 1. It's built in the sweat, the cramps, the moments when everything says quit, and they choose to continue. Or take an entrepreneur building a dream with little money, facing rejections, doubts, delays. Peace doesn't come from everything going right. It comes from knowing they're on the right path even when it's hard. Fifth, celebrate the small wins. Modern life conditions us to wait for the big finish line. But the Stoic path teaches us joy is in the process. Did you show up today? Did you make a better choice than yesterday? Did you stay true when it was easier to quit? That's victory. Let me tell you, peace doesn't come from jumping from one thing to the next. It comes from showing up for what matters again and again, even when it's quiet, even when no one's watching, even when it feels slow. So here's the real question. Are you chasing momentum or building something meaningful? Because at the end of the day, every scroll, every detour, every comparison, it pulls you off your path. But every time you return, every time you choose your values over vanity, your discipline over distraction, you take a step closer to the unshakable peace you're really searching for. So today, take a breath. Look at your life. What matters most? Now, stay the course. Because real peace isn't out there. It's within the person who refuses to quit on what they truly believe in. Lesson 5. Never do anything out of habit. Let's be honest. How many of your daily actions are driven by conscious choice, and how many are just habit? You wake up and reach for your phone. You scroll through the same apps. You sip coffee before your feet hit the floor. And later, when work is done, maybe you binge a show or grab something quick and sugary, not because you're hungry, but because, well, it's just what you do. Here's the hard truth. Most of us are living on autopilot, and the problem isn't just about routines. It's about unconscious momentum. We're repeating patterns not because they serve us, but because we haven't paused long enough to ask, why am I even doing this? The Stoics believe that to live a good life, you have to live and examine one. Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That means even our smallest habits deserve our attention, because over time they become the architecture of our lives. So how do you break free from mindless patterns? Step 1. Identify the habit. Not all habits are bad, but any habit done without awareness has the power to steal your time, energy, and clarity. Maybe it's checking your phone every 10 minutes, or snacking late at night, or automatically saying yes to things when your body's screaming no. Step 2. Understand your triggers. Habits don't appear out of nowhere. They're reactions to emotional or environmental cues. Stress might trigger that extra glass of wine. Boredom might lead you to scroll for hours. Loneliness might push you to overcommit just to feel needed. Instead of judging yourself, get curious. What's really behind the habit? Step 3. Replace it with intention. The goal isn't just to stop, it's to redirect. If you usually grab your phone first thing in the morning, what if you reach for a journal instead? If you tend to snack when anxious, what if you took a short walk? or just pause to breathe deeply for 2 minutes. Replace the automatic with the intentional, and over time, your mind will rewire itself. Step 4, be patient. This part matters. We often expect instant results, but real change is subtle, quiet, and sometimes frustratingly slow. You didn't build that habit in a day, and you won't break it in one either. But if you stay consistent, if you forgive your slips and keep returning to your higher aim, progress is inevitable. Let me give you a simple example from my own life. There was a time I couldn't start my day without 2 strong coffees. It wasn't about needing energy, it had just become ritual. When I realized it was making me more anxious than alert, I began replacing the second cup with a glass of water and a few minutes of breathing on my balcony. At first it felt weird, but within a few weeks I started to crave that calm instead of the caffeine jolt. My body didn't change overnight, but my mind did. That's the power of conscious habits. So here's the challenge for you. What is one habit in your life that doesn't align with the person you want to become? Identify it. Understand the trigger. Choose something new. And then stay the course. Remember, your habits shape your destiny, and the most powerful shift you can make is not to do things just because you've always done them, but to do them because they serve your values, your peace, your higher path. You're not your impulses. You're the awareness behind them. And once you reclaim that space, you can rebuild your life one mindful action at a time. Lesson 6. Reboot the real work. Let's pause for a second and ask a simple question. What is your real work? Not the job title on your business card, not the task list that never ends, but the thing that brings you alive, the quiet, purposeful effort that aligns with your values and lights up your mind. Because here's the truth. We live in a hustle-obsessed culture that worships busyness. We equate being overwhelmed with being important. We confuse constant motion with meaningful progress. But the Stoics would remind us, motion is not always direction, and more isn't always better. Marcus Aurelius didn't talk about grinding or hustling harder. He spoke of alignment, of doing what matters with intention, not frenzy. So let's reframe the idea of work. Your real work isn't just about output, it's about inner alignment. It's about choosing depth over distraction, presence over pressure, and meaning over metrics. Let me share a story. A friend of mine is a designer by trade. For years, she burned herself out juggling clients, trying to keep up with industry trends, chasing more, faster. But in the silence of a weekend retreat, no deadlines, no phone, she realized her true joy came from hand-drawing patterns inspired by nature. That was her real work, not what paid the bills at the moment, but what fed her soul. And over time, that real work became the center of her business. So how do we return to that kind of work? Quiet, focused, powerful. First, eliminate the noise. That means setting boundaries, turning off notifications, creating space, mental and physical, for what matters. You can't do deep work in a shallow environment. Second, embrace the flow state. You know that feeling when you lose track of time and your mind locks into something so fully it almost feels like meditation? That's flow. It's not forced, it's cultivated with practice, protection, and presence. Carve out time for it. Defend it like your peace depends on it, because it does. Third, respect the cycle, effort and recovery. We're not machines. We're humans. And rest is not laziness. It's part of the rhythm of mastery. Even nature has seasons. Winter is not failure. It's preparation. So take breaks. Step back. Let stillness be part of your creative process. Practical tools? Try a focused morning routine. 1 hour phone-free with just pen, paper, and your thoughts. Or block 2 hours a day for deep work, where you batch all your distractions for later. Or create a sacred ritual before you start, like lighting a candle, playing a specific playlist, or taking 5 slow breaths to reset your focus. Because here's the big shift. Your real work is not about being busy. It's about being true. When you step into that space, when you say no to the noise and yes to your deeper calling, you don't just get more done. You create with clarity. You live with direction. And you stop confusing exhaustion with excellence. So let me ask you again, what is your real work? And when was the last time you gave it your full attention? Lesson 7. See the world like a poet and an artist. Let me ask you something you probably haven't been asked in years. When was the last time you truly looked at the world around you, not to judge it, fix it, or control it, but to simply appreciate it? As children, we saw magic in the most ordinary things. A puddle wasn't just water, it was a portal. A breeze wasn't just wind, it was a whisper from the sky. But somewhere along the way, we stopped looking. We got busy, efficient, focused on the next task, the next goal, the next problem to solve. And in doing so, we forgot how to see. This lesson is a call to return to that vision, not with naivety, but with deliberate curiosity, a kind of practical wonder, to see the world like a poet, like an artist, not because life is always beautiful, but because beauty can still be found, even in the middle of chaos. The Stoics valued clarity. But clarity doesn't just come from reason, it also comes from attention, from presence. So how do we begin? First, slow down, not just physically, but mentally. Pause for a few seconds before opening your phone. Breathe before reacting. Give your senses space to come alive. The details you once missed, shadows on the pavement, the rhythm of footsteps, the way sunlight hits a wall at 4 p.m., suddenly begin to speak. Second, observe patterns. Life is full of them. The way people greet each other at coffee shops, the cycles of your own moods throughout the day, the seasonal dance of nature, even in the city. Noticing patterns helps you connect dots, and connection brings insight. That's how artists think. That's how poets reflect. Third, use metaphor. You don't have to write a poem to think like a poet. Try this. Next time you feel stuck, don't just say, "I'm overwhelmed." Say, "My mind feels like a cluttered attic." You'll be surprised how language transforms awareness, and awareness softens judgment. Fourth, stay curious, even when life feels repetitive, especially when it feels repetitive. Curiosity isn't about needing answers. It's about asking better questions. What's one thing I've never noticed on this walk? What story does this stranger carry in their eyes? What would my 8-year-old self find fascinating right now? Real life examples. There's a man who writes poetry during his subway commute, not for money, not for fame, but to stay alive inside. A woman sketches street corners on her lunch break, not because she's a trained artist, but because it helps her see her city again. Even something as simple as eating a strawberry, really eating it, slowly noticing the texture, the color, the burst of flavor, can be an act of quiet rebellion against numbness. This isn't about being artsy, it's about being awake. Because the opposite of wonder isn't logic, it's dullness. And dullness breeds stress, disconnection, fatigue. But when you see the world like a poet or an artist, even briefly, you reclaim a part of yourself that was never meant to be buried. So today, just once, look at the world with new eyes. You might not change the world, but I promise, It will change you. Lesson 8. Wherever you go, they're your choices. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Wherever you go, there you are. But more importantly, there your choices are. You might not have chosen the traffic jam you're sitting in. You didn't ask for the rude coworker, the unexpected layoff, or the health scare. But what you do choose every single time is how you respond. And that choice is everything. You see, most people live as if the outside world determines their inner world. I'll be happy when my job gets better. I'll feel at peace once my partner changes. I'll stop stressing when life slows down. But here's the truth the Stoics knew thousands of years ago, and neuroscience is now catching up to confirm. Your peace is not in the event, it's in your perception. Let's break this down. Reframing your reality is not about denial, it's about power. Got stuck in traffic again? Instead of fuming, treat it as a chance to listen to that podcast you've been putting off. Someone canceled on you last minute? Maybe it's a nudge to enjoy an evening to yourself. Lost a job? Yes, it's painful. But can it also be an opportunity, an unexpected pivot towards something more aligned? Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychologist, once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Now that's Stoicism in action. Tool number 1, reframe the situation. Ask yourself, what else could this mean? How could this setback serve me? Tool number 2, focus on what's in your hands. You can't control the economy, but you can control your mindset, your daily habits, your self-talk. Tool number 3, practice gratitude, especially when it's hardest. Gratitude is not reserved for sunny days. It's for the storms too, for the lessons hidden in loss, for the strength you find when you thought you had none left. Let me give you an example. There's a man I know, let's call him James. He was diagnosed with a chronic illness in his early 40s. Instead of spiraling into despair, he reframed the diagnosis as a wake-up call. He changed his lifestyle, reconnected with loved ones, started journaling, and became more present than ever before. His illness didn't vanish, but something deeper changed: his relationship with life. That's choice. So here's the takeaway. No matter where you are, physically, emotionally, financially, you're never without options. You always have a choice, not over what happens, but over how you carry it. And that choice, that's your power. That's your freedom. That's your peace. Lesson 9, reignite your thoughts. There's a modern lie being sold everywhere. Just be positive, smile, think good thoughts, and everything will work out. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. Life isn't always beautiful. Some days hurt, some moments shake you, and pretending otherwise doesn't build resilience. It builds delusion. Marcus Aurelius wrote about death, betrayal, illness, and injustice, not to wallow in them, but to face them clearly. Why? Because true peace doesn't come from escaping the storm. It comes from walking into it, fully awake, and still choosing clarity over chaos. So no, Stoicism isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about strengthening your response. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused and truly questioned your own thoughts? Most of us wake up every day with the same mental playlist on repeat. Same worries, same judgments, same limiting beliefs. We assume our thoughts are facts when in truth they're often just old echoes, habits in disguise. But here's the good news. Your mind is not a fixed script. It's a living, breathing, trainable force. Like a muscle, it grows with use, weakens with neglect, and transforms with intentional practice. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote nightly to challenge his own assumptions, not because he was weak-minded, but because he understood. Unchecked thoughts lead to unnecessary suffering. So if you've been stuck in a loop of self-doubt, of fear, of stale thinking, this is your invitation to reignite your mind. Step 1. Challenge your assumptions. Just because something feels true doesn't mean it is true. I'm not good enough. I'll never change. People can't be trusted. Are those truths or just inherited beliefs you've never questioned? Ask, whose voice is that? And does it belong in your mind? Step 2. Seek new inputs. Fresh thoughts require fresh sources. Read books that stretch your worldview. Have conversations that make you think twice. Listen to ideas that make you a little uncomfortable. Those are the ones that spark growth. Remember, a stagnant mind is a stressed mind, but a curious mind, that's a free one. Step 3. Practice mindfulness. Becoming aware of your thinking doesn't mean fighting every negative thought. It means witnessing them with enough space to choose something better. Even just one mindful breath in the middle of a spiral can shift everything. That breath is the fork in the road. Step 4. Stay curious. Instead of reacting to challenges with frustration, try curiosity. What can I learn here? What else could this mean? Curiosity softens the grip of fear. It turns resistance into wonder. Let me give you an example. An entrepreneur I know built her career on in-person events. When the world shut down, she could have collapsed with it, but instead, she asked a better question. What's another way to serve? That question led her to build a thriving online community, one that didn't just survive the change, but surpassed what she ever imagined. The same goes for the artist who outgrew his own style, or the student who stopped memorizing and started questioning. When they dared to think differently, their world changed. So here's your reminder. Your thoughts are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of your direction. Train them, question them, expand them, because every time you reignite your thinking, you reignite your life. The calm is always within you. So let's bring it all together. Life will test you, not once, not twice, but over and over again, through traffic jams, heartbreaks, career shifts, misunderstandings, and moments where nothing seems to go your way. You can't control the waves, but you can learn to sail. That's the quiet power of Stoicism. It doesn't promise a life free of stress. It offers you the mindset to rise above it, to stay centered, clear-headed, and strong, even when everything around you is spinning. Remember this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Those words from Marcus Aurelius aren't just ancient philosophy. They're a lifeline for modern life. So the next time life throws you off balance, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what do I actually control right now? Then choose your response, intentionally, not impulsively, not with anger, not with fear, but with wisdom. Because every calm decision you make, every peaceful response you practice, is a vote for the life you're building, one of strength, purpose, and emotional freedom. This isn't just knowledge, it's a practice, and it starts today, with you. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and share the Stoic insight that stood out to you, or a time when you stayed calm against the odds. Because here's the truth. You're not just watching a video. You're choosing a path, one of clarity, courage, and calm strength. And on this path, you are never alone. This is Stoic Journey Moments, where ancient wisdom becomes your everyday power. Now, before we part ways, take one final deep breath with me. Inhale, exhale, that breath, it's a reminder that you made it here, not just to the end of a video, but to a moment of awareness. You chose to listen, to reflect, to grow. And that's not something most people do. If even one idea today spoke to something deep within you, pause, sit with it, let it settle, or better yet, pass it on. Someone in your life might need it more than you know. Just remember, you don't need to transform your life overnight. You simply need to return again and again to the stillness within you. So if you're walking this path of purpose and peace, you've found your place. Subscribe now, because the next reflection is coming soon. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. This is Stoic Journey Moments, where timeless wisdom becomes your quiet superpower.